Alright, so I think I found my new hobby. When I was a teenager, we would have hot rods. We would soup our car ups, put free flowing mufflers on and all kinds of stuff like that. I think I found my hobby now. Just do little miniature improvements for gas mileage and all that stuff, and more power and all that. What is that lady doing? I can't read it. This car had two air filters, one little small one. I took the small one out, replaced the one that was in there with a new one, and it feels like it has more power. The more oxygen flow, the better, I don't know what she's doing over there. She must have her own little hot dog stand. Miniature push, self-propelled, human-propelled hot dog stand. You get to a point in life where you realize it's all just repeating, And in order to stay young in a repeat that just keeps repeating, you gotta try different things in life, experiment, but then you feel like, you get to a point though you realize it's always the same. Even though it's something different, it's still the same. A conversation came up yesterday, and do unto others as you'd have them do unto you, and that pretty much fulfills love God with all your heart, love your neighbors yourself, do unto others as you have them. That fulfills the whole law and the prophets right there, Now, but there's certain things in life that you have to put boundaries up with people. There's different levels of awareness. So if somebody's sitting right here blowing smoke in my face, because I remember when I was a kid, they used to make me mad. You go to a restaurant when I was younger, when I was like 18, 20, you go to a restaurant before all the laws, and they saw that you didn't smoke, and they blew smoke in your face on purpose. It's like trying to provoke you. So there has to be boundaries. Different people are at different levels. So their idea of loving somebody like themselves, they treat themselves bad, and they think it's okay. They have a bad habit or whatever, and they expect you to follow suit. That's not what it's talking about. You're going to have to raise up to a higher vibration to apply that verse, because you have to put up boundaries with people who are acting in certain ways that you wouldn't act, In other words, if that car had their music wide open and bothering all the other cars and the whole car is vibrating, they think it's normal. So if you did it, they wouldn't have a problem with it, but they think it's normal to get beside somebody and turn the music up and take away your peace. You know, it could be a neighbor playing the music real loud. It could be pretty much anything. People have a right to do their stuff, but when it starts to encroach on somebody else's rights, that's a different story. And then you got the other extreme. You got the Karens and the Kevins, where no matter what you do, they're going to find something wrong. You know, somebody's riding a skateboard down the road here. Who cares, you know? But the Karen or Kevin get out and holler and scream at them, "Why are you riding a skateboard on this public road? It ain't hurting nobody, you know." If somebody in front of me is doing a wheelie on a motorcycle, I'm not going to be bothered by that. But somebody else might be, you know. And it is kind of dangerous, because if they crash and burn, you have a wreck, you know. So there's always that fine line in everything in life, you know. But if somebody calls you out on it, quit doing it. Whatever it is. Around them, you know. The Bible talks about in the book of Acts how the sheet came down and everything's free to eat. Now, if somebody's a vegetarian and that offends them, then you don't eat in front of them, you know. You kind of you pay it you for consciousness sake, you know. In other words, the Bible says that if somebody's offended in something small, you walk in love and don't do it when you're around them, you know. But you can't live that way. You can't live like that way under legalism. That's kind of a type and shadow of legalism in a way, because you're having to change what's normal to you to acquiesce to somebody else, and it's not normal. It's just one person or a few select people. So it's the truth, but sometimes you have to set boundaries, you know. Like, I'm gonna go up here to this restaurant and get me a meatloaf plate, some meatloaf and soup. If the air conditioning's on, if there's no air conditioning on, I'm not gonna get it. If the AC is working, because I don't want to eat hot soup on a summer day when it's hot in the restaurant too. But if I go up here and the music's real loud and I don't like it, I go to another restaurant, you know. Or if there wasn't many people in there, you say, "Do you mind turning the music down just a tad bit?" If they don't want, if that's not, that's a legit request, I think, if it's too loud. So you have to judge situations like that guy speeding right there. He could have caused a wreck. That's not loving your neighbors yourself, right? He's causing chaos on the highway. Everybody's done it. Like this guy here, he's speeding. Now, he is at least on the outside lane. But that's not loving your neighbors yourself. If you get all, like you see somebody coming off exit, go ahead and give them some room to get on the highway, you know. I don't know these people, but they're human, which brings up to another guru type thing. So I don't know these people, but if I had a car wreck with them, I'd get to know them. You'd have their contact information, everything. But they have a head, they have legs, they have arms, they have hands, they have feet, 2 arms, 2 legs, 2 feet. They're just a mirror image of you. Through the lineage all the way back to Adam, you're related. You're related somewhere along the line. And when you look at another person, they've got a head, they got a body, arms, legs. You're looking at a different version of yourself. And it's true because every person is per the Son. Jesus is the firstborn among many brethren. Jesus, the firstborn among many brethren. He's the archetype of all things. Jesus is the greatest archon. He's the greatest archetype, architect, carpenter, archon. All things are made after his image. Even an animal, a dog has a head and a body, right? The head and the body. Christ and the church. So the spiritual concept is Christ and his church, his body. And so it plays out into 3D as you had a head and a body, right? So the types and shadows of a head and a body point to the spiritual mystery of Christ and his church. The husband and wife, the man's the head, the woman's the body. So the types and shadows from the spirit realm playing out into 3D are a head and a body, right? A head and a body. Christ in the church. If you study typology, types and shadows for 6 months, it'll change your life. If you study it for 10 years, it'll really change your life. You'll be a different person. Everything I look at is a type. When I look at that parking space, I see a fractal. I see a series, a sequence, types and shadows, space. Everybody needs some space, right? Husband and wife need space apart from each other. Like that one video I did, together, apart, together, apart, together, apart. You got to have the together and the apart so that you grow apart and come back together and learn from each other. I don't know why the roads are so dead. It's like nobody's out. There's so much mystery right in front of you that if you just cut off the noise, you can meditate on it and just see things. It's right there. Anybody can see it, but they don't look for it. And so, it is what it is.